Hey all, welcome back to my channel. I'm Kritika Dadij, your reader, and today I'm gonna read Legends of Pensam by Mamang Dai. So, till now we had done two chapters, and I'm gonna read today the second subchapter of the third chapter. And the name of the second subchapter is A Homecoming. Let's get started. We were sitting by the big window. My friend was saying, "We may not have got everything we want, but we have learned things. Life has taught us, hasn't it? Life is like an egg." It was a placid evening, pale and still. The hill closest to us was more grey than green, and the stray birds we saw was listless in flight. I remember her wild hair and the dark eye frayed with fine lines and bruised with blue eye shadows. She was laughing and cursing. So what? Never mind. Destiny works both ways. Soon everything will be all right and we'll settle down to a happy ending. Huh? We were meeting all after 12 years, and in my mother's old house, we were celebrating our reunion with wine and gossip. Whatever the years had given or taken away on that evening, we both felt as if nothing has changed. We were still two girls of the two young villages standing at the same crossroad where we had parted once with such buoyant hopes and darings. The intervening years had surpassed us. We heard about each other's life from a great distance and wondered at the roads we travelled. Now, sitting together, face to face, back where we began, we shared one single stark fact that wiped away all our years apart. The men we had loved had not loved us back. I, of course, had cut loose. I could not bear to give up the original image, and I could not change myself. Somewhere I would find sweetness and light again. I returned to my old home, to my window mother, who hadn't been able to hold me back. She did not ask any question as I tried to show her in few words and a determined stillness that I was coping. I was all right. In fact, I had adjusted so well in just a month that my friend's visit was like an encroachment that upset me peace. She had arrived unannounced in an overloaded jeep taxi that deposited her half a kilometer from the village. Since that was the end of the road, young boys from the village had helped her carry all her bags and boxes to the house, and she had grumbled about the lack of development in our parts and the money she had to give the loads. She flung her clothes about the room and kicked the enormous cardboard boxes to one side. I was struck by the amount of luggage she moved around with and how she traveled alone in night buses and broken cars to reach strange remote town in her new avatar as traveling saleswoman. She flew to big cities, to Bangkok, Bombay, and booked single rooms out of travel brochures. She shopped eagerly and returned to quarrel with customs and bulldoze her way through all walls of officials and middlemen. Once she had been beautiful. People saw this and retreated before her forced face and taunting smile. Then she arrived in small town like Pigo and Gurdam, and the women succumbed to the new bright clothes, the delicate fabrics, the cosmetics, and herbal remedies. It will make you glow, she would say, and she seemed to grow light herself as she said this, sparkling once again as we did in our youth. Now her body had expanded. She hid herself in baggy tracksuits and muttered in her sleep. The problem is we are too good, she was saying. We take everything lying down. We love too much, but never mind. Huh? You and I can't help it. We still have time to make money and live well. We just have to work and push our way through. So what, huh? Our happy days will surely come. Don't talk to me about money, I said. You know, I'm hopeless at business. That you are, but you are lucky, you know. You have your mother. There's nothing like a mother in the end. She sighed and shook her head. Ah, yes, my mother. She dreamt long. Wounded dreams had recounted them to me on many morning in a surprised, laughing voice. I knew she laughed because she was nervous. She often saw river water gather around me. Once she saw me plunging off a cliff, plummeting down like a stone. To be happy, a woman has to be born lucky. I was superstitious too, but I was not afraid. There was enough thing to manage with, I thought. Books, paintings, writings. My mother, however, had changed her views. Years ago, she had sent me to the town further downriver and then to distant cities to study. But now she said, education is of no value. You gain so much knowledge and your mind goes off. What great insight are you looking for? It serves no purpose at all. Go out, live. At such time, I pretend not to hear. I kept to myself and looked for words in the garden and the evening sky. Give me a little time and I will survive, I said to myself. My friend said she didn't like the way I was hiding myself either. She herself fought in the open and was prepared to lose, but only after a good fight. So what, huh? She cried. I earned good money and it is all mine. At least I can say and do what I want, like all the men. My poor parents are dead, but they were good people. I have nothing to be ashamed of. Then she would add, laughing loudly, it's just that I'm a bit down at the moment. My mother enjoyed her presence. They had things in common. They believed there were auspicious people and inauspicious people in this world, and that one must fight for one's place in it. They believed in conversation and food. The kitchen became a busy, bustling place, especially at night, and my mother was comforted for this. She had a terror of being alone, and my life, so remote and unknown to her, caused her many moments of anxiety. My friends was like her in that too. She left the door to her room wide open and grumbled loudly when she found mine shut. But I could not help myself. I clung to my private space. I groped around. Sometimes, when I thought I was safe, I confronted an image that took shape before me at any time of day or night, and always without warning. Two bodies, polished like mirrors by an early sun. The man traces the lines of the woman's body. He weeps with jealous rage at a past that has known her before him. She vows to love him forever, her test her. He leaves and returns. Write a story about us, he said. Let us have a child. He left and returned. The years slipped away. The sunlight became different. The landscape changed. The summer, where they could move shapes, shadows, and place them out of sight, were gone. Love was not enough. You have to nag at them all the time, my friend told me. Never let anything pass. Get to the bottom of things, hang over his head like a harpy. Sooner or later, you'll know. Don't weep, claim. You should have hung on just for the sake of making his life miserable, huh? I could not help laughing. She also bent her head and laughed uncontrollably. What about you? I said. Tell me. He lied to me. She began straight away. He ate up my life. I worked hard. I worked for both of us and I prayed for a child, but he had other alternatives. He is now living with a young thing somewhere. I have not spoken to him for a long time. How long? Since I found out and we fought and I hit him on the head. She started laughing again. I fenced for the pain that suddenly touched my heart. What to do? My only right was to believe or disbelieve. I choose to believe. I made a mistake. So what? Huh? I asked him point blank, and his look gave him away. That's the best way. Point blank. And then when I shouted, it'll come to no good, he said. It may do me no good, but it'll do me no harm. I couldn't resist punching him then. We had a good tussle, and after that, I didn't care what he did. That year, winter was long and cruel. Ghosts and spirits walked the river bank and watched jealously from the dwindling forest. They followed so closely. It was impossible that someone should not succumb to their persistent presence. A young woman fell asleep, resting on the warm stone by the river, and woke only when the sun had already dipped behind the hills. In our parts, it is considered a grave error for a woman to linger by streams and rivers after sunset, for the night is restless with strange dreams and lost spirits. All of the next day, the women complained of a heavy ache in her belly. Something had happened, and the old women who understood began to prepare for the rites of exorcism. A shaman was called, and the ceremony began with ritual chanting, calling the spirit to speak and disclose what they wanted. It was a bargain, a dialogue of exchange. We will slaughter chicken and prepare your delicious food. We will pour wine over the stones and scent the wind with blood and ginger. We will observe taboos and maintain our peace. My mother knew about these things. At such times, one should raise hell, she said. People should gather together and make a big noise. Otherwise, your sense would be stolen. She kept her own vigil, and we watched the great shaman murmuring and singing, entering the spirit world. Now, through him, the assembled relatives heard the cry of a young woman. Her sobbing was like the wind rasping down the gorge. I drowned in the green pool. My unborn baby died with me. I died there last summer. Oh, help me. I want to live. I want my life back. I want to live. We are all haunted, I thought. Paths cross, stars collide, and even though we whirl away, we continue to look back over our shoulders, for the debris of that unexpected collision still holds us in thrall. We all want our life back. I continued with my patient, preoccupied life. I was so engrossed with my thoughts that I barely noticed how the duck were laying eggs again and how my mother watched them and waited for the chicks to hatch. Constant drizzle swept the village in mist, and often I saw her moving in the garden, planting and transplanting stems and shoots and bulbs. You'll get all wet, I shouted sometimes. If I don't do it now, it'll be too late, she would reply archly, and I would watch her white shape, bundled in her old skirt and familiar blouse, drifting around the garden. One day she told me her feet were feeling numb. How do you mean numb? They feel cold and tingly, she replied. She had pushed them out of the sheet, and I touched them briefly. We had never been a demonstrative family. My heart beat uncomfortably at the unexpected proximity, and I wondered what should be done. She seemed to sense my discomfort and said, get the maid to fill the hot water back. Then she can massage me a bit. I think this will help. I sat with her that night. I looked around the room and we shocked to see the old photos and how we had been smiling together. In one picture, I, the only child, had my arms wrapped around both my father and mother, and on my school blazer, I spotted my mother's old brooch. I left the room many times because I felt choked and ready to cry. The maid and she talked come constantly for a while, and when she fell asleep, the maid signaled to me that my mother's breathing was very weak. I felt fear for the first time and stared at her. The maid placed her hand on my mother's breast and motioned for me to do the same. It was a strange sensation. Now I gazed at her face and saw how deeply the cheeks were lined and how the thin eyelids stretched with age. There was a small scratch just by the bridge of the nose, probably from a rose blush. I dreamt about Rose that night and did not know the exact moment when I lost my mother. She slipped away quietly in her sleep. I woke to the terror of regret and panic like nothing I had experienced before. People poured in, people who knew and loved her, my old aunts, old me, and Yayo and Lossie. They embarrassed me and told me what a wonderful woman she was, how she had fulfilled her obligations, how much she had loved and worried about me. It is hard to describe pain. I had always coped by choosing silence and showing indifference. My friend's words came back to me now. You're lucky you have your mother, she had said. There's no one like a mother, my poor mother. Though I knew that her concern for me was like a talisman that would never lose its magic. I had spurned it so often as an obstacle breaking my stride. I had shielded myself from her gaze with words and books that she had never understood nor read. I remembered the stories of creation of our village and our people that she had told me before I grew up to expect happiness far away from her. I remembered the quiet routine of the house and the firelight in the evening. I remembered her muffled cough at night. My cruelty stunned me now. What was I doing? Where had I been? When my aunt turned to me, I broke down and wept. I touched my mother and clasped her for the first time in my life. I felt her soft, drooping cheeks and pressed her lifeless hands. I thought I would die. Come, my aunt whispered. Let no tear touch her now. The criminal rituals passed as if in a dream. Songs of lamentations were sung, recalling the days of my mother's childhood. Her old friends sat by her and talked among themselves to her. They asked her to remember the good times and said what a good homemaker she had been as the eldest daughter, as a woman, as a wife, as a mother. There was always food in your house, they told her. They reminded her that when the soul reaches the other place, ancestors step forward in greeting. And under the big tree, the pure soul is crowned with a shower of sacred leaves. My mother was buried with her head pointing west, so that when her soul rose, she would wake up to face the east and walk into the house of the sun. The long vigil soothed me. There was great consolation in showing grief and sharing grief. My friend sat with me throughout. She did not bring any carton with her this time. It was like an egg. She had said how unknown every moment was experience. Experience was not everything. After you had prepared yourself so carefully, life pulled out her greatest surprise and you had to start all over again. I begged my friend to stay. She looked after visitors and guests and walked with me in my mother's garden. The wind blew fiercely and wrapped itself round our bare ankles. My friend's hair lifted and she clutched at it wildly as we skirted the flower beds. Walking through the garden now was like walking through a minefield. Everywhere something had been planted. One could hardly move without drawing back in surprise. Sharp green blades were shooting up everywhere. Frail twigs were suddenly full of growing eyes, and the roses, battered by the wind and the rain, were trailing higher and wider than ever. Life, my mother had said. I knew she would always be with me, watching the heart, set circle of hills, and dreaming about moon babies. The earth was soft and porous. I saw that pushing everything aside, the lilies were trusting up with folded hands as if it would be a crime not to bloom when the earth was so fertile. So that's all, my dear. If you like it, please subscribe it, share it. Thank you so much. Bye bye.